Hello, this is Roland Lucas. I'm a physical therapist from Sunnyvale, California, and it's part 3 of my grip and hand strengthening video series. Part 1 we went through all the equipment that we use, and part 2 was on the hand and finger exercises, so you should definitely check that out. And part 3 is just more forearm strengthening, still involving the hand, of course. We're just going to get started and have a look. So the first thing we're going to get started with is just basic wrist curls, and so usually we're going to use a heavier one if we're doing. So we've got the dumbbell in the hand. We've got the forearm resting on the table or bench, and we're just going to let the dumbbell roll down the fingers. We want the fingers to open. So we're going to go like so. Probably should have started with my left hand, as that's my non-dominant hand, but for the sake of the video, I ended up on this side of the table. So again, just as a review from part 2, we want to hit some sort of fatigue in 5 to 15 reps, and we want to avoid failure. So we don't want to get into that point where we're sort of like really struggling and can't move it. If we want to stop actually at 1 repetition before that. So you'll get far better gains in strength if you don't go into a lot of failure. Now the goal of this video and sort of my whole practice is improving performance, especially performance with less pain. I'm not so interested in putting on bulk per se, or just getting big muscles, because big muscles aren't necessarily strong muscles. But the reason why I bring that up is if we want to get big muscles, then it's important we do go into failure. But for the sake of this exercise, if you're probably watching this, you're interested in doing something better and minimizing the risk of your injury doing so. So this is the same thing. This is a wrist flexion curl. So my palm is palm up. If you didn't grasp that part, I want to keep my forearm stable. And certainly hitting fatigue here, I can feel it in my forearm. Okay, so we did that. And then I'm going to flip my order here, but just start with your left hand or your non-dominant hand. So now I need a lighter one to do my, so we did it like this, right, where we did palm facing up. Now we're going to do palm down, and we're going to go like so. And again, we should just remember that if we've got an existing injury, although some of these exercises might be very useful, you should be evaluated by a physical therapist prior to starting any of these exercises. And they should be pain-free unless you've been told otherwise by a physical therapist. The training for injuries is slightly different. And so there's some modifications that occur, and someone has to determine the intensity of pain that can be brought on. Okay, so that's our wrist curl with the palm facing down, or a wrist extension. And we're going to repeat that on this right hand. Now if we hit 15 reps and we haven't achieved any sort of fatigue, then we need to do a second set with a heavier weight. We don't go beyond 15 because it encourages you to do unproductive training. All right. All right, so we did 1 set of the wrist curls. And now we're going to go to the flex bar, or we're going to go to the wrist roll if we have one. Probably if you're watching this, you don't have one. Now the flex bar was made very popular. It's made by TheraBand about a month or 2 ago. I guess that was September of '09, because there was an article published in the New York Times on the treatment of elbow tendinosis with this. And the exercise video that they show for that is a little bit different than what I'm going to show you. Only because, again, the treatment of injuries is a little bit different from the treatment just for improving strength and preventing injuries. So what we're going to do basically with this thing is we want one arm to be stable. The big disadvantage of this over the wrist roller is that the non-exercising hand is working to maintain the resistance. But it's negligible, I guess. So what we're going to do is try and keep this hand stable, my left hand, and we're going to, I guess I'm doing right again here. And then I'm going to wind up, so I start with a bit of my wrist bent down, and then I'm pulling my wrist back towards me against the tension of the flex bar. And my left hand needs to stay stable. Alright, so then we do the reverse, so we're going to try and keep this hand stable. Reach over, right? And then we're going to twist it back. Whoa. You can see as my left hand starts to fail there, my right hand wants to add to the twist, but avoid that. Try and keep your right knuckles sort of stable. Many people don't train these muscles. They don't train them in the same way or the same intensity. And if you're starting out with this type of training, we want to sort of just go slow. We want to gradually get into some components of these videos, and as you get comfortable with those, add other components. So you could divide it up into sort of some of the gripper work, like just get the Captains of Crush, start off with that. Then add the bands a couple of weeks later. Then get the Pro Hands grippers and add more of the band training. And then maybe you're going to go to the dumbbells and the flex bar, or the dumbbells only, and then the flex bar a few weeks later. The Dynaball, the Powerball could come later on, and maybe over a 2 or 3 month period you're gradually adding all these exercises, and the body gets a chance to develop the muscle power and the tissue strength to be able to handle that series. Okay? Alright, now, so what we want to do is the reverse of that. So that was a flex bar working on wrist extension, so my knuckles were coming up. So let's review that. So we were going, we kept the left hand still, we went here, we went up like that, so that's for the flexion. What we want to do is start here, so bring the hand to us. Now we're going to do the flexion, and we're going to grip, and we're going to twist the other way, so we're going to push your knuckles away from you. Alright, and so on the other hand, we're going to bring the knuckles towards, grip, stabilizing with the right hand, and push the knuckles away from you to get that resistance. Come on. Okay, that was the flex bar, flexion curl and extension curl. Now, if we got the wrist roller, we'd use that instead, and so I'm going to show you that now. Alright, so this is the Iron Mind wrist roller setup. So you can see that I've basically got the wrist roller through a pipe. I bought the pipe from Osh. You just want to make sure you get the size that fits it. And then you just sit it up in your rack. You could put it in your bench press rack or your squat rack. And then we've got the sort of connection piece that goes there on the ground. You've got some weights in there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do the exercises, and this is a repeat of what we did on the flex bar. So basically, if you did the flex bar, then there's no need to necessarily do this. If you got this, you'd probably do this instead of the flex bar. So usually we've got to wind it up a bit to get it off the ground, and I prefer for people to do the shortening and the lengthening contractions reciprocally, instead of doing a total winding up and then a total winding down. So this is the wrist extension roll. My knuckles are coming towards me, and I'm controlling the descent. Switch hands. Now for the wrist extension roll, the rope's going to be away from you. It's going to be on the other side of the wrist roller. And then I'm going to lower it down.